doing? Sam here, Wall Street Mastermind. I'm here today with another client interview for you guys. This time with my client Sinan, and he just finished with his summer 2020 recruiting process and absolutely killed it. And so, wanted to get him on here to talk to you guys about how the process was for him and just share any thoughts and advice that he may have for you guys on what enabled him to be so successful. So thank you for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thanks, Sam. Maybe I can give a quick intro about myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love for you to do that. So why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I'm a junior, not anymore rising. I just started this school, but I'm a junior at Wharton, UPenn. I study finance and business analytics, and I'm from Istanbul, Turkey. So I'm an international student.
Yep.
Other than that, I started my recruiting process like this time of the year last year. So it's been like a full year. And yeah, like I started working with you, I think in mid January.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So you started recruiting at the beginning of sophomore year, right?
Yeah.
You came to me in January, so that's like halfway through sophomore year, so at the end of your first semester.
Mm-hmm.
And just so people kind of have a sense for, because people always ask like, oh, well, what kind of candidate was he? Like, what kind of experiences did you already have, like say on your resume by the time you kind of joined the Wall Street Mastermind program?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think what kind of pushed me to seek out some sort of counseling was I felt that I wasn't really getting results with my sophomore internship recruiting, and I felt that I wasn't in a good like mindset. I wasn't feeling comfortable overall. Like I was feeling kind of lost. Although I think I checked a lot of the boxes. Like I know that some of your clients, there's some sort of like a turnaround, right? Like there's like maybe I mean I felt that like I had a good GPA. I'm coming from a good school. Like I had relevant experience, but for some reason I felt that wasn't producing any results. Like that, I wasn't able to like point towards any specific problem.
Yeah.
And even like with networking, like reaching out to people, or just like a sophomore internship search, I felt that I wasn't doing a great job, which kind of worried me because I should have been better. That's what I thought. So I as I said, like I thought I was doubting my networking approach. Like I wasn't sure if I was reaching out to people in the right way, like sending out the right emails, like having the right mindset overall and approach. I wasn't really confident in my cover letters, resume, my interview skills, my emails. So that was kind of slowing me down, just like making me less confident. And that's why I wasn't efficient and I wasn't really doing much. I was just like contemplating and worrying about stuff, and I felt that I needed to change.
Got it. Got it. So when you came to me, you had just finished going through your sophomore internship recruiting. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you did that. You started doing that freshman year, or just the first half of your sophomore year?
That was the first half of, yeah. So I forgot to mention that I already had a sophomore internship,
Mm-hmm.
but that internship was not something I ideally wanted. Like I wasn't really happy with my internship. I wasn't really satisfied with my offer. It's essentially a small investment bank in New York that did tech advisory, but like I felt that I could have gotten something better. I saw other friends, getting better stuff. So that was like, as I said, like kind of like pushed me towards
I
doing that.
I see. What were you? What kind of opportunities were you really gunning for? Like when you say, "Hey, I saw my friends getting better opportunities," and we're like, what kind of opportunities are you talking about? Are you talking about like sophomore summer internships at bulge bracket banks and stuff like that, or?
Yeah, I mean, I know that like for non-diversity candidates, it was like I didn't really apply to diversity programs. I applied to some of them. It didn't work out, but even other than that, like there were some other like smaller like banking opportunities. Even outside of banking, there were like asset management or other like opportunities within finance. Recruiters coming to our school. But I yeah, so like I didn't really work out.
Got it. Got it. Did you find that being an international student made it a lot harder for you? Because
Yeah.
can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean that's not something that you can change, but it definitely made it harder, especially like a lot of firms they just don't want to take international students.
Mm,
That I think that's also one of the reasons why sophomore recruiting was pretty difficult because if you're not going for the biggest places, then it's much harder to find an internship at smaller places just because they don't want to like recruit international students.
yeah, yeah. What would you say, in terms of the opportunity set that you were looking at, like the firms that you would have been interested in working for if the sponsorship wasn't an issue, what percentage of those firms would you say kind of were no-goes purely because they didn't sponsor? Was it like 20%? Was it 40%? Like, what would you say?
I would say like 40-50%. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that basically almost cuts your the number of firms in your opportunity set in half.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yep. And how did you go about like figuring out, which firms would or wouldn't sponsor you?
Uh, just reaching out,
Yeah.
like applying everywhere, like reaching out. So there wasn't this like I don't know if that was the right method, but I don't think there's the right method.
Yeah. Yeah. You just network the people there and kind of ask,
Yeah.
figure it out, right? Okay. So you're an international student, so the bar was obviously higher for you, right? Meaning if you're only equally good or just as good as the non-international students, there's no reason for them to go through all the trouble of sponsoring you. So in a sense, what I always tell international students is like you have to be even better, right? It sucks, but it kind of is what it is. Like you said, you can't change where you're from. Um, you didn't get the sophomore internship that you wanted. You mentioned, you have several different challenges. One, a lot of that was with networking, not feeling like you're not sure whether you were doing it the right way, or the emails that you probably weren't getting a lot of replies, right? Um, and then you like a lot of the banks that you did network with for the sophomore internships, like even though you felt maybe at least at first you felt like you were doing a decent job with the
Yeah.
networking, you didn't end up getting the interviews. So obviously that wasn't the result that you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then I think on the interview side, I think at the time when you came to me, if I remember correctly, you hadn't had any technical interviews yet, right? Like all of your interviews were mostly behavioral at that time.
Yeah, that's true. I had like one, but I wasn't. I wouldn't say like it was a great one.
Yep. And so you were struggling with, you would say, both the behaviorals and the technicals then at the time?
Yeah, I would say mostly like I didn't really know about technicals. I thought that it wouldn't be that difficult because I'm studying finance and like that's something that you could just study on your own. Like I don't think, your main value add is I mean for me at least, right? For
Yeah.
me at least, like I didn't feel that your biggest value add was helping with technicals because I already know some of that stuff and I thought that I could just pick them up easily, but especially for behaviorals, like I think that was my main
Yeah.
concern because like even if you're like there's no really way to like study for behaviorals other than just like reading the guides, which I don't think are really helpful because like you're not going to imitate the answers, so you actually need someone to like refine your answers with.
Right, right. So back then, the way you were doing your behaviorals was you read the guides, the same guides that everybody else at Wharton was reading,
Yeah.
and then you like wrote out your answers and you just kind of memorized it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially.
And then you went into these interviews and you tried it out, and then obviously the answers you had prepared didn't really get you the result that
I
you
mean, I didn't really have I didn't really have the interviews. Like I only had like 2 3 interviews before my
Oh, okay.
yeah. So like I didn't really get the interviews even. So
Got it. But
I
the few,
wouldn't say
the
like
few that you did have,
huh?
the few that you did have though, they didn't go very well. Is that what you're saying? Because I remember you had
Not
like,
necessarily. Like I had like two, maybe three. I don't really remember interviews.
yeah.
Um, like I just felt that I wasn't doing a great job, and it was just like rather than like them not going well, just wasn't sure how they should be going, like how I should be interviewing. Like I literally had no idea.
I see. So it's not even like I don't know if I'm doing well or not because I don't know like what
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
well means,
Yeah,
or like you don't know. I guess that's very common. Is like how are you supposed to know if you got the right answer for a
yeah,
behavior, right? Like for you, the technicals are easy because if you just study it,
yeah,
like you could get it. And you're a finance major at Wharton, which is one of the best finance programs in the country. So it's like, okay, great. Then on the behaviorals, if there's something wrong with the behaviorals, I guess it's hard for you to spot that. And so that's what you want
yeah,
to help with. Okay, got it.
yeah.
What about a networking side? Like you say you struggle with networking a little bit. Like how did you figure out, Ali, at the time before you had joined the program, like how did you figure out how you're supposed to go about networking?
I mean, first of all, I wasn't really getting answers to my emails. I wasn't like I wasn't sure what the purpose of networking is. Like I wasn't sure about like how it should be, like what I should be doing, like what's my purpose should be, like what's like, how do I understand if I'm networking well or not? Like how do I understand if a conversation is going well or not? Like I just wasn't sure about what I was supposed to do and like where it should lead towards.
Yeah.
Because I felt that it wasn't leading anywhere. So that's I would say that's it.
Yeah. But you started somewhere though, right? So was it just like you talked to some upperclassmen and you asked them, hey,
Yeah. But also like there's limited amount of like support that you can get from like they can't like sit you down and like I mean nobody like sat me down and like just went through everything. Like it was just like small chats and like me asking questions, but obviously like if I was I don't think I was asking very smart questions because I was kind of like confused.
right. So like when other people help you, it's like you have to be proactive and try to pull the right information out of them
Hmm.
because they don't care that much whether you figure this out or not. And even when you try to pull it out of them, they'll just answer what you ask them, but they're not like going out of their way or going above and beyond to
Yeah,
they're not as invested in the outcome as you are, basically.
yeah,
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's totally normal, right? Like a lot of times people say, "Yeah, I'm gonna get help from upperclassmen." It's like, well, yeah, they're gonna help you a little bit, but they're probably not gonna help you that much.
hmm
Got it. Okay, so then like, why, what drew you to investment banking? Like, obviously, I think, in fact, like when we first talked, I believe like you weren't 100% settled on investment banking yet, right? Like back
yeah.
then, you were also kind of considering consulting. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the case. And just for your reference, like I don't think my internship this summer was very reflective of the actual like banking that you would do at bigger places. So I'm yet to see like if that's actually the best fit. But I had to convince myself that it was the best fit, and I had to understand very well what the job entails and very well like how what a good investment banker is, what kind of qualities they were looking for, what kind of traits they were looking for to
Yeah.
kind of to essentially like reflect that or like get that message across that I was a good fit. And to be able to do that, I needed to understand the job better and what it entailed and what the recruiters were looking for.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I needed to figure out. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure about banking at all, like in back in like January.
Yeah. So then, like, it sounds like even right now, like, but like, what made you decide, to use up your junior summer internship on investment banking and say not consulting? Like, is it
Uh-huh.
is it because you figured you want to give investment banking a try, and if that out, you want to switch to consulting later, you could always do that, but you can't really go the other way, or is it like
That's definitely a reason. And also like we kind of talked about this in our initial session as well. That's also something that you had mentioned. But I think overall, like the reason why is, first of all, like everyone goes into consulting or banking in my school, so you kind of feel like you have to go to one of them. But when I dig deeper, I realized that it's actually pretty interesting. Like I think it's a great way, maybe the best way to start thinking about what makes businesses tick, how investors and managers think and make $1 million decisions, how to succeed and act in the, I'd say, like the highest levels of corporate world. And I also think that it's pretty exciting, and that's actually something I realized this summer as well when I actually did banking. It's very exciting to work on deals that are kind of formative for the companies that you work with. It really changes their destiny, their direction, and probably like that deal is one of the most important decisions and um, tasks of the top manager of that company, the CEO, the CFO. So just as like a 22-year-old person, you're advising on these kind of transactions. I think that's pretty unique. So I think that's what really got me interested.
got it, got it. Okay. So yeah, I'm sure you're looking forward to. I mean, obviously, you did a sophomore summer internship this past summer at the smaller bank that you talked about. Um, Probably didn't really feel like that was like the full banking experience, and so I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
you're looking forward to. I'm sure you're looking forward to the full experience this upcoming summer in summer 2020.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually going to be working at like a top tier bank and getting the full experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Cool. It's very exciting. So then, okay, so you want to do banking. Um, so then prior to Walsh and Mastermind, then, like, what were you using to prep? Was it like financial modeling courses or certain interview guides that you had, or like what kind of resources did you have? Were you just like browsing the internet, or what were you doing?
Yeah, like I was like there was so much information, like there's so much information online and like so much like resource that I felt that I was kind of overwhelmed, Like probably you can find a lot of the stuff that you're looking for online. It's just like there's so much stuff, like you don't even know which ones are correct, which ones are not, like which ones are the most useful ones. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also something that, I kind of struggled with, everyone says like, oh, look at a different guide, and like the guys, everyone's just using them. Like if everyone like by looking at the guys, if it was like totally fine, like everyone would get the best jobs, like they're like what I mean. So like I felt that there should be some other stuff as well. So that's kind of like what I
Yeah.
felt.
No, you make a great point, which is if we look at the industry as a whole statistically, especially for someone like you who's you have your eyes set on like the top tier firms, right? It's not like you're saying, oh, I just want to work for any crappy investment,
Yeah,
right? You're looking at like the Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgans of the world.
I mean, I take also like I can't because I'm international, so like I literally like can't work at other places because
Right, right.
they
That's true too, which is you're international, and the only banks that will actually sponsor visas are like these top global brands that actually have the scale and the infrastructure to be able to sponsor a visa, right?
yeah
And so, to your point though, if we look at the top tier banks, they get what, like they got like a 1% or less acceptance rate, and so if everybody's reading the same guides, the vast majority of those people by definition are not getting the job done, right?
yeah
Okay, so you were looking for like that extra competitive edge, something you're trying to do something different from what everyone else is doing. Not to mention the bar is higher for you as an international student, like
yeah
earlier, and so you just like you're looking for the best available resource at your
yeah
disposal. Okay, Understood. Yeah, man, all the information is out there. Like, like in this day and age, you have this thing called Google. You can Google
Yeah.
whatever you want, but it's just like sometimes too much information is actually a bad thing,
Yeah,
right?
and I think like at that point, like what matter, like what I was also trying to do that I forgot to mention, like I think in my school particularly, like I mean, a lot of people get really, really good jobs, and I was just questioning, okay, like how do they do that? And it's not only the guys, it's just like because there's so many people who got amazing jobs. There's a very good like support network, a lot of resource that you could use, but the thing is like um you can't just like take so much time out of like people like people are not gonna like yeah as you said like they're not very invested um in your outcome like you
Yeah.
can just like reach out to people like upperclassmen like if you can find a mentor that's great. I just didn't have one,
Mm.
but even then like there's a limited amount of like guidance that you could get, I think. And I think, that's also something that I struggle. Like, I wasn't sure, like, for example, let's say I needed to make an important decision, like maybe just like, taking on that internship opportunity or just letting it go and waiting for maybe a better stuff. Like all these like important decisions, you need someone informed and like someone who knows his stuff to you need like guidance on these matters. And I think like that's also something that like it's not just like the guys, like it's more like getting counsel, like getting advice.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, what I always tell people about, the difference between getting help from something like Wall Street Mastermind versus say, oh, I'm just going to talk to my upperclassmen. This really comes down to two primary differences, right? One is like how experienced is that upperclassman, right? How qualified
Yeah.
actually advising you on this? Like, sure, they've gone through this process one time themselves,
Yeah.
and and it worked out for them. Maybe they got one offer. I don't know. Maybe they got a couple offers, but at the end of the day, that's still a very limited amount of knowledge and experience. Like what worked, by the way, may or may not work for you, right? Like for
Yeah.
example, if you're looking for help with networking, you're looking for help with behaviorals, like they might think that your behaviors are fine.
Yeah.
They actually aren't, right? Like they're not that much more qualified than you to be able to tell you that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And also, they haven't really sat on the other side of the table. Like, they haven't really started the job. And if they had started the job, like, then obviously the guidance that you could get from actual analysts is very limited. I mean, first of all, like, there's a conflict of interest,
Yeah.
some sort of conflict of interest. And also, like, they're super busy. So, like I think, like, kind of shifting to the discussion to what kind of help I got from you. I guess that's something that I could talk more about. Like I think most importantly it was counseling. I think your main value add was just like being a great like counsel advisor. I thought that, I mean, first of all, like I think you had some good quality like materials that you share with your students, but what I benefited the most was literally like 24/7 guidance. I felt that I could, I think you did a really great job in establishing that reassuring me that I could just reach out to you with any questions. And there is no, like, I don't I don't need to feel like ashamed, or I don't need to feel uncomfortable asking you for help, asking you for something,
Right.
asking you for guidance, like. And just to give like more concrete examples, like, it's all the small details, like checking and correcting my follow-up emails, like giving me strategic advice on, let's say, how to navigate an info session, like that seems very basic but it actually isn't. Or like recommending, for example, like recommending me questions to ask, for example, when I have a call with a senior banker and I'm just stressing out, right?
Mhm.
Or explaining the rationale if I don't understand a technical question on a guide, because you did banking, so this stuff, right?
Mhm.
And in more depth than the guide. Like you can actually walk me through an M&A model, whereas like maybe an upperclassman, let's say, can't, right? Because they haven't been on the job yet.
Right.
Or other than that, like other than like just like general like counseling on these like smaller details that collectively do move the needle a lot in such a competitive process.
Yeah.
Other than that, and like the materials you shared, also like the mock interviews, just like going through, my answers, like refining my answers, correcting them, doing several mock interviews, cover letters, resume, cold emails, like these, also like these stuff that need correction and external perspective. I
Yeah.
think that also really matters outside of like general counseling, because they matter a lot. And I felt that especially in sophomore year, like I was spending so much time like worrying that my cover letter was not perfect, that I literally didn't apply to some internships. And at the end, like you told me that this just doesn't move the needle. Like you don't need to like worry so much about the cover letter, because it's sometimes some banks don't even look at that. So also like prioritizing my time, like
Right. Right. Yeah, because you're super busy, right? You're at Wharton, you're in all these clubs, you're doing internships, you're maintaining a super high GPA. It's not like you have time to waste on stuff that doesn't really matter, right?
yeah, and just like being aware of that stuff, like somebody like telling you, okay, you don't need to worry about that, or like, okay, this is very important, like you need to pay attention to that. Like this is the kind of stuff that I think moves the needle and really makes a difference. So
Yeah.
like to kind of sum it up, like I think your helped me move faster and smarter, which did make a difference, I think, because otherwise there was a lot of like confusion around some of these stuff that I was just not making any progress, right?
Yeah, you're avoiding all the common pitfalls and maybe mistakes that you would have made otherwise on your own,
Yeah,
which would have had to cause you to start over and redo it or whatever, and then that would waste a lot of
yeah,
time. Versus you have like a step-by-step game plan that you can follow, and you're not making these mistakes, and that's how you're able to be a lot more efficient, which then frees up time for you to be able to do even better in all the other areas, right? Like do better
yeah,
in school, do better with interview prep, do better, like have more time to network, whatever it may be.
exactly, yeah.
It sounds to me like though, like, going back to what we were saying earlier, is like, on the one hand, okay, so you have someone who's qualified to help you, that's available to you 24/7 pretty much. But the other thing is that because I'm so invested in your outcome, I'm not just giving you like a little bit of tips and tricks here and there, or like, I'm waiting for you to like
Yeah,
ask me questions and only tell you whatever you ask me. And then there's all these other things that I'm not telling you about. It's like
yeah.
whatever you need as far
I
as
mean, yeah, the incentives are aligned. That's that's important,
right incentives are aligned, meaning like if you do well, that means I'm going to be more successful. But if you don't do well, then that's going to be bad for me too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so we go all the way back to January. Like you just recently signed your offer, and it's we're September 1 right now as of the date of this recording. So what would you say, like over the last 8 months? I mean, obviously we didn't time this, and it's probably hard to quantify this, but like, how much time do you think we spent talking to each other?
I have no idea. Probably like, especially like over like I think one of the things that is really really great is you're so available on Slack. Although you're probably like working a lot and you have many clients. I think I never felt like you weren't responding to me, or like I never felt like, although like you technically have a duration for the program, like 8 weeks or something. I don't remember right now, but like even after that, like I didn't feel like I was just being ghosted or anything, which was really important for me, right? So I don't know, I could not quantify the time, but it's definitely more than the typical like 8 weeks of your program. Like it's
Right.
yeah,
Like we've talked so much. Like there's just no upperclassman or no investment banker who's currently working in the industry is going to spend that much time with you helping you with all the things that you ended up needing help with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's great. I mean, I'm glad like, we were able to help you with all the things you needed. Going back to the one thing I did want to ask you is I remember um after we had our first strategy session,
Mm-hmm.
and then you were thinking about whether you want to do this program, and you took like a good amount of time to think about it. Like you didn't decide
Mm-hmm.
right away, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure like at the time internally you were probably going back and forth like, well, is this gonna work? Like, how do I know this is legit? I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
Like what were the thoughts that were going through your
Mm.
head, and like what were like the like talk a little bit about like the skepticism that you have, because I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of people experience that same skepticism, right?
Yeah.
What were
I
you
mean,
thinking about, and
yeah.
how did you overcome that?
Skepticism is good. That's what makes you, I think, being skeptic. That's what makes you think and question. And I think it also made me realize the main value adds. Like it made me think about your main value add, and because I was kind of skeptical, and there were specific things that I wanted to get out of this program. I think I was able to, you know, get better outcome, right? Like use your guidance and your servants more efficiently. So I think I what my concerns were, first of all, is this person going to be available 24, like technically like 24/7, but just like whenever I want, like am I going to be able to ask something on my mind? Like that's super important for me, like
Yep.
because that's a personality thing. Like I'm a stressed person, so like I need to be able to ask someone something that's on my mind. Like that's what I want. Like I want answers. I want to be I want to like just like move on, but for me to move on, like I need to be confident in my approach. I need to be make sure that everything is great, and that I'm doing the right thing, and that comfort of mind is very important for me. So I was questioning, okay, this guy is have a full-time job, like he has other clients, is he gonna dedicate enough time for me? And other than that, your program is 8 weeks, so I was like, okay, like in 8 weeks nothing is gonna happen. My recruiting is not even gonna pick up in 8 weeks, so like why limit myself? But then you obviously like reassured me that 8 weeks is just the duration of like the typical like service, but it by no means I you're inaccessible after 8 weeks. And I think you were as accessible as you were before, so like literally nothing changed.
Right.
So that's something that I didn't know, and I wouldn't know. So
Right.
maybe like if someone else is like listening to this, they're gonna be more, they're gonna have more confidence in your service. And other than that, like I thought that what return on investment would I get? Like I'm, yeah, like what would be the return on investment? Am I gonna be able to get a good outcome? Is he gonna be like invested in my outcome? But
Right.
yeah, because technically like you're doing these client interviews, like you're putting up, like if somebody is getting great offers, like that also serves as marketing for you, right? Like that's you have to be invested in my outcome, because our incentives are so closely aligned
Yeah.
that you have to do your best for me, like, and I have to do my best. So like that's also something that I didn't really realize. And I think this is much more clear. So like that should give an idea about how much how much involved you are with your client's progress, and how much you have to be involved. Otherwise like you wouldn't be able to expand this and grow this service so fast. And I know that it's growing fast, that's why I'm saying that.
Right. Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like, your parents are helping you out with this program, right? I remember I spoke to your parents.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, like, they're business owners, but like with the economy in Turkey right now, it's not like the economy is doing super well. So this is like a big investment for you guys.
definitely. Yeah.
And so like you want to make sure that if your parents are going to help you out with this, I mean, they already spent so much money on your college education and whatnot. Obviously, you want to make sure you get a good job, but like, you don't want to spend even more of their money
Yeah.
if it's not gonna help you at all, right? But
Yeah.
obviously, if it is gonna help you, then it's totally worth it. And it turned out that it was a great investment for you guys. But
Yeah, like what I thought was essentially like, okay, like I had to make a decision in a calculation in some sort of, like if this guy is gonna help me, get a better job, let's say like if I can get into my top choice bank,
yeah,
whereas another bank that's good but not as good as my top choice, that the amount that I pay you at the end, I'm gonna that it's gonna make up for it, like in even 1 year, or maybe in a shorter time, like even in my internship. So that's something that, thinking rationally, I think that's what convinced me in the end, because in the grand scheme of things, this this cost might not be very important, although it seems important in the short term. In the grand scheme of things, it might not. That's what I
right.
realized.
Even what you're going to get paid in your internship is going to cover the investment of the program multiple times over, right? So
Definitely, yeah.
that's already it's already more than paid for itself. I mean, on that note, you talk about getting into your top choice banks and whatnot. Like, can we let's kill the suspense? Can we kind of share with people what kind of outcome you got? Like, how
Yeah.
did everything go for you? Where did you end up, and like how many offers did you get? Like, what type of firms?
Yeah. Yeah, good outcomes. So first, like, I had 4 offers in total. I first got an offer from a boutique investment bank called Financo. They are a great, consumer retail focused boutique advisory firm. And then I got an offer from Credit Suisse.
Hmm.
And then I got an offer from Morgan Stanley,
Okay.
and then I got an offer from JP Morgan, and all these like three, the Bulge brackets, they were all generalist offers, and I ended up choosing Morgan Stanley, where you had worked previously. So I thought that that was the right choice, and also you kind of helped me like navigate through this like decision process, right? Like navigating through competing offers.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna be there next year. Hopefully, it will go well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Last question for you. What did your parents say, or how did they feel when you told them about it?
They were pretty relieved,
Okay.
and yeah, they were like pretty sentimental because they're Turkish, so they're pretty sentimental and emotional. So they were like crying and stuff.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Yeah, because they've worked so hard to give you everything they can give you, sending you to an international high school, sending you abroad for college, spending all this money on a super expensive Wharton education. And it's like, this is, in a sense, I mean, this is not the only thing, but in a sense, this is like a huge part of what they've been working towards their entire life is to
Yeah,
like make sure that their son has a great career and is going to have a great life and a great future and be really successful. And so, like, I'm sure it was a huge weight off of their shoulders when you were able to
yeah,
accomplish that, right?
yep, exactly.
That's that's forget the investment, man. That right there is priceless, right?
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah,
like and for all the listeners out there too, is like I'm sure your parents are the same way. They all want you to be successful, right? And so to be able to do that and make your parents proud, I mean, that's
yeah,
you can put a price on that. So
yep,
anyway, so, I know we're about out of time. I know you got to head out. Really appreciate you taking the time to get on this call today to share your experiences. For the rest of you who are listening out there, look, I mean, even someone as qualified as seen on paper, like, goes to Wharton, had phenomenal GPA. I think you have like almost a 3.9. Like you had like relevant experience on your resume. Like even someone like you still needed help to get to where you want to go, right? Or even like for some of you, even if you feel like, oh, maybe I could do this on my own, the question you got to ask yourself is like, are you okay with just being good enough, or do you want like to get the best, right? Do you want to do your best and get the best offer you can possibly get? And that's the attitude that hopefully you have as when it comes to your career, because career is no joke. It's something that's going to affect you for not just the first year or two out of college, it's going to affect you for the rest of your life, right? So if you guys want to take your best shot at this and you want to get the best help that's available out there and have that at your disposal, have the type of support that you heard about on this call today, I would encourage you to first start by booking a free strategy session with me. Just so you guys know, I don't work with every single person that I do these strategy sessions with, because a lot of times I might not be the best person to help you. I'm not sitting here claiming that I can help everybody, okay? And I can't, and I don't have time to, nor do I want to. But if we talk and I learn about your situation and I feel like we're a good fit and I feel like you do need my help and I can help you get the type of outcome that you heard about today here, multiple offers, top firms, that's what you're looking for, then yeah, let's just have a conversation. And if not, like if I can't help you, I'm still going to do my best to give you advice on what I think you should do or what I would do if I were in your shoes, right? So there's no obligation, and you're going to walk away with some valuable insights no matter what. And so if you want to book this call, the way to do that is to go to www.wallstreetmastermind.com/apply. The street in the URL is abbreviated to ST, so it's mastermind.com/apply. And I look forward to talking to you guys. Okay. So again, Sinan, thank you so much for taking the time. Super excited for you. Super happy that I was able to be a part of this journey with you and help you get the outcome that you were hoping for. And obviously, I know we're going to stay in touch, and I look forward to hearing about more of your successes going forward.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
definitely let me know how it goes with Morgan Stanley.
Yeah. No, we'll be in touch until then. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm biased, and I believe it's the best bank out there. But I think you're gonna have a great time. So,
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
all right, guys, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back with more of these in the near future. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.